Good morning, everybody. You are tuned to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next couple of hours, along with Nick. Yeah, good morning to you. Good morning to you, too.
Crap, sorry. Hey, good morning. Sorry.
And Spence is here.
Yes, sir. How are you?
Fine. And Gal is here.
Good morning.
Good morning. Our number is 919-518-9773. Computers 2K voice on Skype.
What happened to Spence?
Spence is, what do you mean? I said,
You didn't say hello to Spence,
Yeah, I
did
did.
you?
We did.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see it switch. Sorry.
it didn't. It did not switch
Okay.
for some
Well,
reason.
okay. Well, that's, yeah.
Today's show is made possible by VMix Software, by DudeandIT.com, and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, with Spence, it takes a few seconds
It's not
before
only
it
with
switches.
Spence. You need to make some noise. You need to be actively saying something for a longer period for it to switch. It's not immediate.
I
Otherwise,
mean, with you guys, it's immediate. Hey, Spence.
It didn't make any noise.
Hello,
What?
Spence.
What? No,
See?
Yeah. Look how long it took.
Now, Nick, you talk. There, you see? Right away.
Why is that?
I have no idea.
Now it switched fast.
This show also brought to you by Great Value Honey Roasted Peanuts. Pick them up
these
at
are
your local-
Those
Well,
people
these are
at the Great
bad.
Value Store. The Great Value Store has some good stuff.
Also brought to you by Marlboro Reds, the smoothest cigarette.
Reds?
Nick is, I don't know what's happening.
Also
to
by
Nick.
Milson Coors, the smooth.
I
taste.
hope we don't get flagged
Why?
for mentioning all these copyrighted names.
They're
Yeah,
not
hey.
copy brands.
Yeah,
are
I
good.
know.
It's not copyright.
No, you're gonna have another problem. I think it's illegal today to advertise cigarettes, right? So
No, it's not. They advertise cigarettes.
No, they
on
don't.
TV.
Oh no, I guess you're right. They don't.
No, they
Well,
don't.
you're not on TV, but
No, the
Billboards.
1999. You remember the 1999 case?
no, I was
98.
2 years old. I missed that
Yeah,
one.
but reading about it, something. Come on.
Yes.
So it wasn't a case. It was like
It's pretty funny what you can't advertise. You can't advertise cigarettes, but you can advertise beer and prescription
yeah.
medications out your ass.
And
you
alcohol.
can't
Alcohol.
advertise cigarettes.
Alcohol
though.
was not allowed for a long time. Now it's
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
But then you
the
watch it
reason-
like any show, and every other ad is, oh, feeling unsatisfied with your job? Just take 2 of these. Problem solved.
Having
Side
mucus
effects may
problems
include-
with your sinus membranes? Let's take a close-up look at Doris's sinuses now as we tell you what you can take.
And then we'll have 45 seconds of
And,
disclaimers.
all these drugs make people so happy. It doesn't matter if it's for acne, shingles, doesn't matter. They're just all
And
after they
side
take the
effects
drug,
may
they're
include
happy.
death.
So- yes.
Anyway,
Serious side effects may occur.
yo. So what happened this week?
Nothing.
No,
Same old, same old.
Windows 11 was announced, right?
If it was an announcement, it didn't make it onto the media.
And it's weird because of what is the specs for Windows 11. The specs required to run Microsoft new Windows 11 OS are only slightly higher than Windows 10's current requirement. All you'll need is a 64-bit CPU, 4 gig of RAM, and 64 gig of storage. This marks
Why-
the
why
end
is it
of.
weird?
That's not it, though. Hold on.
Wait,
Hold on.
I know. There is more to
Oh.
it. Oh, go ahead, Nick. Yeah.
Well, one of the big things is that you'll need a DirectX capable video card, which is, I believe, the first time that's ever been a requirement for running Windows. You need DirectX 12 or later, which for some older embedded pieces of hardware, old. I'm talking old. I mean, everything that's been made in the last 15 years is DirectX compatible, but for really old or really cheap pieces of hardware that are very low spec, like those little microcomputers, that could be a problem.
Now, the thing that's gonna piss off most people about running, it's free. It's gonna be a free upgrade, by the way. Windows
Free upgrade
11.
if you have
For
Windows,
Windows
10.
10, Windows 10 only.
Yes.
Windows 11 will be an update to Windows 10. But guess what? At present, the CPU required is only Intel 8th generation core processor or newer, and AMD Ryzen Zen Plus processor or newer, effectively limiting Windows 11 to PC less than 4 to 5 years old.
Good.
And listen to that.
Yeah,
notably
that is good.
Notably absent from the list is the Intel Core i7 7820HQ, the processor used in Microsoft current flagship $3,500 plus Surface Studio 2, even though they still sell it. This
Planned,
Huh?
planned obsolescence.
Well, I mean, it's fine,
They're
but
going the Apple way.
Well-
Apple shits on their customers left and right. So why not Microsoft?
Yeah,
that's-
but realistically, I mean, this comes down to running a new operating system on hardware. And I believe here's the thing, that those old CPUs will work. They're
Yeah.
just not recommended. If you have a processor that's higher than 1 gigahertz, it will run.
it will run. And
It's just not
some
required.
things,
It's just not recommended.
right, and some things will not work on it, and they will not
I'm
be
sure everything
supported.
will work. They're just not. What this means is that they're not fully QAing and fully testing on chipsets that are older than that. They will absolutely run. There's no question
It'll
about
be
it.
interesting to see how it deals with drivers. Like you said, if they set a stake in the ground, this is what the driver set. We're going to. You're going to have a lot of people who aren't going to be able to run it because of drivers. And you used to be able to go back and I could try to find an old Windows 8 driver or something and get it to work, but maybe they'll restrict that. If you look at this, I just went to the Windows blog, and the UI looks very Macish.
Yes, it does. It
You
actually
think-
more looks like if you've used a Windows 10 X, I think is like the more like the dumbed down version of Windows.
Simplified, yeah.
The simplified, it's very much like that. I
you
mean,
think-
overall, it's not really a huge anything. By the way, Amnon mentioned it's a free upgrade, but it's not going to be a free operating system. You'll have to pay for it new. If you'll be able to buy a copy. It'll be a new.
Well, you can buy any operating system, but if you have Windows 10, it's going to be a free up.
Correct.
That's
But
what
if for example, if you're building a new computer and you want
Yeah,
Windows 11,
right,
you'll have
absolutely.
to. It'll probably be $99 like current versions.
Okay, so here's something else here that I did not completely understand. Microsoft also announced that Windows 11 will require TPM, Trusted Platform Module, chips on existing and new devices. It is a significant hardware change that has been years in the making, but Microsoft's messy way of communicating this has left many confused about whether their hardware is compatible. What is a TPM and why do you need one in Windows 11 anyway? The Trusted Platform Module, TPM, is a chip that is either integrated into your PC, into your PC's motherboard, or added separately into the CPU.
A USB typically.
That's coming from the director of enterprise and OS security at Microsoft. Its purpose is to protect encryption keys, user credentials, and other sensitive data behind a hardware barrier so that malware and attackers can't access or tamper with that data. My question here is, or added separately into the CPU.
Well, prior generations of this,
Yeah.
like if you have a Lenovo machine, typically Lenovo business machines have TPMs. So if I have friends who were running, their companies required encryption, and they had a TPM on a USB stick.
Yeah.
That's what they used to it. And they used that incorporated. It was a Dell machine with a thumbprint reader and a fingerprint reader, and that handshake using the TPM was what was required for them to enter the network. So yeah, you can just add it on a USB stick.
So,
but yet again, if you've purchased a computer within the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years, new TPM is built in. Again, you're talking about a very small
machines. Business machines, yes.
No, not at all.
No, that's what they said. No.
Anything that uses UEFI is
It's just switched off by default. That's all. It's there.
Yeah, TPM is built in. If you're using a UEFI BIOS, TPM is part of it. Trusted Platform Management is part of it.
I was reading some article that actually says exactly what Spence was saying. That what's his name? The guy from Intel was saying that this was not available. I think it's talking about the TPM, not available in earlier. It was available on Windows machine, but now he wants to bring it. They want to bring it into every machine. So I don't know if
Intel doesn't make CPU. I mean, Mac is not using Intel CPU anymore, so
Right.
I don't know what other machines they'd bring it into.
I don't know.
Again, this is another one of these things that is a small, minute group of people that have a problem.
Right.
If your computer is that old and doesn't have this stuff, it's time to upgrade. That's the moral of the
Or
story.
stick with Windows 10. Windows 10 is still going to be supported for a long time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 4 more years. You have until 2025 until it's end of life.
Yeah, your computer will probably not last that long, right?
Exactly. So, yeah, the TPM is not it should not be an issue.
You understand, Amnon, you just said that when you shut down your last XP machine a year ago. So,
Well, I mean, look, the machine that I'm using in the office is a Xeon, dual Xeon 6600. That's over 10 years old. I mean, maybe even older than that. That will probably not run it because they were saying
you can just
that's true.
Run this command tpm.msc, and you can open up the TPM management console. And if mine comes up now, and this is on my 8 core AMD, it says TPM cannot be found.
Yeah, because it's turned off.
It's probably turned off.
Because mine says the same thing.
Yeah.
So compatible TPM cannot be found. So it's just turned off.
Download a small application named CPU-Z. It'll tell you if it exists and if it's enabled or not.
CPU.z?
CPU-Z. I'll
Dash
send you the
Z.
URL in chat.
Okay.
And does it tell you how to turn it on if it's off?
You turn it on the BIOS.
You go to the BIOS. You go
Okay.
to the,
For a slight fee, we can turn it on for you.
Oh, that's a great idea, actually. Send a postcard to Amnon. What's your address?
Now
the appointment day.
they think that
CPU-Z. It's by CPUID.com.
the thing that they are adding.
Can you put me full screen here, Amnon?
Yes, sir.
So here is CPU-Z. Any idea where the TPM thing is in here?
Go to motherboard, I think.
No, nothing here about it.
Let's see.
Oh wait, instructions. Uh, that means you have an AMD with maybe on AMD it's called differently.
No, it's still called the Trusted Platform Management.
I'm just under the impression that's
Oh,
not
Wait,
out
wait.
there.
What'd you say,
Autoway.
Nick? You found it?
no,
Oh.
no, it is. I don't know where it's hidden. Because again, UEFI, part of UEFI is the Trusted Platform Management. That's how UEFI works. That's why. So, for example, Legacy Boot, which is something that you can do with Windows 10, right? You can use if you're having an issue running Windows on an older computer,
Mm-hmm.
switch and use Legacy Boot. That will no longer be available because Legacy UEFI, part of UEFI is the Trusted Platform Management.
And I think once you choose that, you cannot go back.
Well, you won't be able to run Windows 10, 11 without it, so there won't be a way to go.
No. My point is, once you choose, if you choose the legacy boot, and you have to format and all that,
Correct.
it's not
yeah.
something that
Mhm.
you switch on the fly.
No.
You know,
But if you've got an older
Yeah.
computer that can't boot with UEFI, you can
so
try
then,
booting.
Uh,
with,
I mean, if it's a
with that.
USB thing
It's not. I don't know. I don't know of it
that
being
you can
USB.
add, that's fine. But I mean, to add a chip to the motherboard, how would you do that?
Soldering
Install
iron.
coprocessor. You can install coprocessor.
There are no
still.
sockets for coprocessor.
I saw. I'm looking on this. Looks like there might be a what do you call USB? An Express PCI Express version of it. You might be able to add.
Okay, well, that's. I'm
It
wondering if
depends on
that.
the architecture.
I'm wondering if that's going to slow that machine down some.
And what this has to, and the reason, for example, Spence, yours says TPM not on right now, and so does mine. It's because you don't have BitLocker on, which is what uses the TPM, which uses TPM.
Yes,
So if you turn
that's true.
BitLocker
That's true.
on,
Yep.
which I don't have BitLocker on. I don't have a reason to.
Okay, so let's put it this way: nobody should go ahead and do anything because we don't know enough about it yet. As time gets
we know plenty
closer,
about it. Again, if your computer is within a few generations old, you have TPM.
No. If you want to check and you want to turn it on and all that kind of stuff, I mean, don't go and put BitLocker on and encrypt your hard drive, and then you see weird things. Just wait until there's more information out there. Yeah, for the techies like Nick. Oh yeah, just do that. Did you turn your BitLocker on, Nick?
No, I'm not going to do anything until I upgrade. Why would I? I'm
Right.
not going to change anything now.
Yeah, that's my point. Don't do anything.
And plus, we don't know what the reaction is going to be in the marketplace too.
And remember, they're saying at this point, that's what the requirements
I think this
are.
is
That doesn't
this
mean
is a
that-
good thing. This is a good thing to have. This will mean higher level encryption on every single computer running Windows 11, which is
Yeah.
good. Is what you want. It makes it so if somebody breaks into your house and steals your computer, the likelihood of them being able to grab your data if they don't have your password. For example, though, this is what this will mean, Amnon, is that those Windows lockout tools that are currently in use, where you can go in and change the password by booting into a live CD, that stuff will no longer work. You change the password, you're going to blow out all the data on that operating system because it's no longer encrypted.
There'll be something new that will work with it.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Hey, CPU-Z is available for Windows 95. So we're all set.
Fantastic.
But here is, I mean, all these things may be confusing, but here's something that is not confusing, and it's a positive. They integrated Teams into Windows.
Yes, they did.
Lovely.
Okay,
free?
this
That
is
makes
what
it
I was
positive.
thinking about. Teams was for business. Now he wants it all into every machine.
This is Microsoft's equivalent to iMessage. This is their idea of having some sort of messaging app built into the OS. Just like
it says
Apple does.
that it's been trying to catch up with Slack and Zoom. So this is how they're doing it. and it will be available on the App Store, of course, if you want to get it. The other thing is it will be able to run Android apps, APKs.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Directly from the
It's-
Windows Store.
Yeah.
They're connecting with Amazon, and the Amazon
Right.
App Store will be available. All of the apps in the Amazon App Store will be available in the Windows 10 store.
Yeah, that's interesting. So there's a few reasons that's interesting. The Google agreement with hardware makers is such that if a hardware maker wants to use Google Play services, which includes the Google Play Store, they must not create any other competing any other fork of Android. So Samsung, for example, cannot create hardware for running the Amazon OS because Amazon is a complete fork of the Android one, and once they forked, any hardware created with the Android OS,
Mhm.
right, will basically break the agreement between uh, the hardware producer and Google, and they lose their access to ship with Google Play services. Users might be able to install it afterwards because it's open source and all that, but there's no like official support. There's no agreement. This
Yeah.
means that
That
it's
they have an
going to
agreement
put
somewhere.
No, actually, no, because what Nick said is it's going to install stuff from the Amazon um, um, App Store. So if they're linking with the Amazon App Store, that means they're not using the official Google Play services. So stuff from Google Play services won't work on Windows. But
Correct.
it also means that, for example, Samsung, right? The moment they continue building Windows machine, they might be in breach of that agreement with Android, with Google. So now it's going to be some sort of legal battle between Google and like between the big players, right, and Google, because I'm guessing Google is going to try to stop that. This is an interesting one, very interesting one.
So there's going to be a war in the future. We
It
can see.
sounds this way. It's like there's definitely going to be legal issues here, and a lot of pissed off major players. So yeah, this is going to be. I mean, this smells like it's going to have an Epic Games and Sony type of battle here.
Well,
It won't make sense to any one of the customers, right? Because it has effectively it does not affect the bottom line of any of the customers, right?
right.
But it will affect the bottom line of these large companies. So
As long as they let us use it.
I don't know. I'm not. I've never felt I was like a fanboy of any of these OSs, right? I mean, I use Windows because it's effective, it works. Me coming from Israel, Windows usually had the best Hebrew support, so uh, I and open source was never a viable option for uh, people other than me in the family, right? So, and I vehemently refuse to buy into the Apple ecosystem just because I
Because you don't want
really
to.
don't like how Apple treats their customers, right? So I don't want to be a customer like that. So, and I'm not saying Windows is like much better. It's just on Windows, I as a techie, I have a lot more options.
Oh.
Um,
Gal,
Yep.
can you bring up your light one notch?
light.
Yeah, the light.
I
A little
think so.
brighter because you're kind of dark. That's, well, yeah. All right. Sorry.
Yep.
All right. Well, we'll wait and see. There's a lot of stuff to read out there about Windows 11.
One thing I do
So-
find amusing is when Windows 10 came out,
Yeah.
they were adamant in saying this is the last Windows
Yeah.
version you'll ever need.
Yeah, it's until they got rid of that marketing guy.
Yeah.
Now that he's gone, if somebody else comes in and goes, "Oh no, you have to
Well,
change."
here's
this."
the
Yeah,
real
I mean,
question and concern.
Okay.
Every other release of Windows is an abysmal disaster,
Mhm.
all the way back from 3.1 to now. Windows 8 sucked. Windows Vista was a piece of garbage. Me was awful. So the question is, can Microsoft break the chain? And by the looks of it, since it's literally just it's the Windows 10 core, it's just stylized a little differently. We shouldn't have a Windows 8 or Windows Vista on our hands. One of the cool things that they are bringing back from the Vista era, though, is something similar to the widgets that they had
Yes.
back in Windows Vista. It's a little bit different than that, which those were interesting. They were a huge resource hog. But they're bringing back some sort of widget menu. They've also brought in, one of the big things is window management. Right now they have a piece of software called Power Tools, or Power Toys rather. And that it's made by Microsoft. It's available for free, and it gives you some different features, and one of them is what's called fancy zones. So you can customize a screen layout with different, windows. You could take a screen and chop it up a bunch of different ways, and it's called a fancy zone. They're bringing those features directly into Windows 11, which is pretty cool.
I mean, it's, you were saying that they're bringing it from the Vista, and it just sticks in my head. I mean, Windows 7 had widget.
Correct, but it started in Vista.
Then they took it out. Yeah.
Yeah, because they weren't useful. They were a huge resource hog.
Yeah. So now what do people do? They go and they download something to replace them that is just as resource hog as they were.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
So they're trying to make it a little bit more built in, and plus the start menu looks a little bit different too.
I did not look at any of the events that when they were doing to introduce it, but one big thing was that when Satya, what's his name, talked about it, they said that his closing remarks were a direct shot at Apple. We'll see.
Here's the new start menu, by the way.
it is always
Yes.
a direct shot at Apple.
Yeah, of course.
There's nothing it's always do. It
That really looks like a Mac, like an iPad. Oh, Nick.
Well, I think
doesn't look that different. I don't know. It
no,
looks
it's not
like
that
Linux.
different,
It
but-
looks like they look all the same.
this is the idea of trying to modernize and make the OS more easily accessible
Mm-hmm.
and usable for regular everyday people that realistically don't use their computer for a whole lot. I mean, again, every single person listening to this show is in the minority of computer users. This is for the everyday person that turns on the computer once or twice a day, to check a couple of things, and then closes the lid and shuts it off. And a start menu like this, I think, satisfies that. It's got your recommended, the things you've recently opened. It's got pinned apps directly built into it now instead of that weird little side screen. I think it looks good. And again, if you don't like it, if you're,
You can probably
hell bent on you can install classic shell and continue to use
Yep.
Windows 7 start menu if it's so unobtainable for you.
Yep. That's the nice thing. You have an option.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
I just found this on doing a search. You can get a TPM USB module that plugs into one of the system board headers. So you can add a TPM using that. Asus makes one that works with their chipset.
Oh,
So
that's
you
right.
plug
It has to be a chipset specific. Yeah. Because
but
it works different ways.
Asus for an Asus motherboard, you can get this TPM. It literally looks like the USB header connector with a chip on it. So it is USB. You just don't. You can. I know people have used TPM in a USB 2.0 slot because I've seen people use it. But for this application, it's easy. You put it in the machine and you're
Do you
secure.
see pricing?
This is a but for a desktop. I don't know about a laptop. Laptop's probably going to require the USB stick. And this is just so you can run BitLocker. So,
did you see the price of that thing when you were looking at it?
It's a couple years old, but the guy said $10 to $20.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
So
good. All right. So that's about Windows 11.
Yep. Expected out later this year. I think it's October. It'll start shipping on new computers. There'll probably be test builds out soon. And yeah, looking forward to it. Looking forward to upgrade. I jumped right on Windows 10 when it became available. I'll do the same with this. No reason not to.
All right. I wanted to update people about, update about Google Fiber and Spectrum and all that. Yesterday, I canceled Spectrum, and they were very nice about it.
And the crowd goes wild, ladies and gentlemen.
She started telling me, but we can do. I said, look, don't waste your time and mine. I'm already committed, and that's it. So yeah, the technician came Monday morning and ran the wire inside and make it run. And everything was working great. Then on when was it, Gal? Thursday? Yeah. I said, okay, now that I was still using all three providers. I was still using Spectrum because the backup of Delta Force is going through VPN that's installed on the router and into the server, and it was a complicated setup that Ron did to allow, and with IPv6 and all that. So I said, okay, now let's find out if I can use my own router, or if I can put the router into their router and put it in bridge mode. Okay, so there's no bridge mode. You can use your own router with Google Fiber. To do that, you need to get on the site in your account, and you need to change your plan. The plan is whether you're using their hardware or your hardware. So I called because I wanted to know if I can go back and forth. And it wasn't something about provisioning it like with Spectrum, if you got your own modem or router, they need to know about it, so to speak. No, here it was just, apparently they do something to their system just so they know that you're not using theirs.
Yeah, and they dropped the tag, the VLAN tag.
Okay. Both AT&T Fiber and Google Fiber installed a plate on the wall where the fiber goes in. The difference between the two is that AT&T is actually just a fiber port. Their modem router is a unit by itself. With Google Fiber, that plate on the wall is actually the modem. There is no other modem. The unit that you get, which is those of you that been on Google Fiber, have like a bigger box that's like what you're used to, a modem router. with Google Fiber now, it is like a third, like you took your Echo device and sliced it into 3 equal parts. That's what it exactly looks like 1/3 of an Echo. It has a light ring that is either red or green or white, or whatever. That is just a router. That's all it is. So they said that I can go back and forth because I didn't know if it's going to work. They weren't sure it's going to work. It's something new that they're doing. So
This is to be precise. It's not new, but previously you did not have control. You had to call customer support and they would do the switching. Now you have full control of the switching.
okay. So I called because that plate on the wall has two. It's like 2/3 and 1/3. And the 1/3 at the bottom is where all the wires go into. I remember when he put it on, it was open, and then he put the cover on it. So I'm trying to figure out how to open it in order to change the Cat 5. Oh, and you do have to return the hardware to them if you keep using your own hardware. You have 50 days to do that. So I figured, I need to put my own Cat 5, 6, 7, whatever cable from the modem. I couldn't open it, and I did not want to force anything because I said, okay, if I have to return it, I don't want to damage it. So I'm trying this and I'm trying that and squeeze here and squeeze. And it's supposed to be simple. It's just a cover. Couldn't take it off. So I called again, and that rep. Go ahead.
But why take it off?
Because
the
I
other
couldn't.
end is an RJ45 cable. So
yeah, but it's way inside. I couldn't get to it, and it's kind of protected. It's like the cable.
That I get, but it goes out to a cable that goes to the router.
Correct.
So, why replace the cable?
Because I have to return their hardware to them,
including the cable.
Well, apparently she told me you don't have to return the cable, but the way I'm thinking about it, here it is. That's what they gave me. They want that back.
They want the boxes.
Well,
okay.
So she was on a speakerphone, and it was probably supper time, and I could not understand her good and all that, but I could understand enough that you can keep the Cat 5 cable. Okay. She said, we don't want people to open it. Keep the cable. All right. So what do? I unplug it from their router, and I plug it right into the switch. Found out later when Gal came over and spent a few hours trying to fix it up, and that was a mistake. So what happened is I put it there. It's not working. So I tried to log back into, and it said IP conflict resolving the problem. And it just went and went and went and spinning and spinning and spinning. That's the router. And finally I said, nah, that's not doing anything. There was no way to log into the router anymore. It somehow changed something, dropped something. I don't know what it was. I tried. Go ahead. Go ahead, Gal. You're dying.
Just explain.
Yeah.
You're using an Asus router.
Right.
And an Asus router has an option where there's a conflict on the one device. It lets you know that it found a conflict, and it gives you a button to change the IP address. The thing is, it did it
on its own
on the LAN device.
Yeah.
And so the LAN IP changed in such a way that you lost control. The DHCP on the LAN
died.
It's like it's firing the DHCP once, setting up a static IP, and then you're screwed. So
that's what happened. and I sat down there and tried to go to 192.168.0.1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. I got to about 90 some, and I said, well, what if I change it to 192.168.1? I said, that's not going to go. So I went and I started looking and found some utility to find your router IP address. And they said that it works in most cases. So I ran it, and it says that the router IP address, the LAN IP address, is 0.0.0.0. I said, oh, great. Can get into that. So the router had a lot of configuration on it, with the VPN and the IPv6 this way and client and a bunch of stuff. So what do? I message Gal and I said, look, I have a problem here. What do you think? He said, I'll be there. So Gal came over, we fixed supper, and then we went sitting there. Long story short, we stayed till about 10, 15, something like that.
No, around 9, I think I left.
No, it was after 10. Come on.
Yeah.
And there was nothing Gal or me could do to get into it. So Gal said, let's just reset it. Well, let's reset it. So we did, and configured some of the basic things, and tried it. And there goes the message. There's a conflict. And Gal said, what is going on? So then he realized what I did, that I connected it to the switch. And what did you say, Gal? It was every time a device will come in and ask for an IP.
So you connected the one entry, right?
Right.
You passed it on. We did connect it to the one entry on the switch.
Yeah.
But you went through the network switch.
Yeah.
To get there. And so basically you were serving DHCP for one from the fiber box to the entire network.
To the entire
and
network.
So, and it's
Yep.
designed to only give one address.
Yep.
So,
So at that point, I looked at it and I said, oh, yeah, wow. It's supposed to go from the modem, from the switch, from the plate on the wall to the router, not. So we did that and everything was working. And I had a printout of all the port forwarding, and we did that. Gal, you added some more because there were some for Plex and whatever. And
no,
it
we did
was
the same
working.
list. Yeah.
It was working, but I knew that it's not going to do the backup. And I said, okay, well, one night without a backup, it's no big deal because there's a backup done somewhere else also, but not as easy to use. After Gal left, I sent an email to Ron and I said, can we talk for a minute? Are you still up? But 20 minutes later, he said, I just got your email. Are you still up? I said, yeah. So he called. And I told him what happened. He said, oh boy, now we have to reset it. He said, the good thing is that we have the same router, so I can see how my router is set up and we can duplicate a lot of the stuff. And again, to make a long story short, about 1:30 in the morning or so, everything was back to normal and it was communicating with the backup server and everything seems to be okay. At that time, I did a backup of the router, which I'm sure I did in the past, but I couldn't find it. This way, I left the file name, the default one. I just added at the end of it a date, so I'll know when. And I did it a few times, and Ron was doing it also on his side. He said, yeah, we don't want to run into this again. Then Kathy comes in. No, I go in the living room, and Kathy's still sitting there by 1:30, and she said, so when can I watch TV? I said, what do you mean? She said, it stopped working hours ago and it's still not working. I said, wait a second. I mean, I know that when Dell was here, we checked it and it was working. Well, it's not working. I go and I reboot the HD home run. I rebooted the Roku machine and nothing. I reboot the server, nothing. So I think there's something here going on. So I from my machine, I went into Plex and I'm looking at the live TV and DVR, and it said that it cannot find the HD home run. Doesn't exist. It's not there. Okay, I went in, I rebooted it again, made sure it's connected, and the lights are on and everything. Come back. It's not, it says it's not there. I said, okay, I'm not going to bother Gal at this point. It's no big deal. I said, okay, so go to sleep. And the weird thing is, Plex did not work at all. I couldn't even get into the recordings of into the DVR. So what did I do? Oh, I sat there and I left it. When you go to Plex, you go to live TV and DVR and you leave it there. You see it was getting, oh yeah, it was getting the schedule, the guide, but there was nothing on it when you go in. So I left it there. And I went back into the office and I'm looking on Plex and saying, what is going on? I don't want to delete it because I don't know how to add it. And back and forth. And it started working in the living room. And I said, what do you mean it started working? She said, yeah, everything is fine. So I go in the living room. Sure enough, it's working. I come back to Plex. I refresh. It's still saying it cannot find the HD home run. I said, what do you mean you can't find it? You're using it. Don't tell me you can't find it. And I think I sent Galen messages about this. But the next morning, everything was back to normal. Now, that's the one thing that next time you hear, we need to reboot the machine. I know you rebooted something, but you didn't reboot the server completely. Cold boot. It took a long time to come back. I mean, I didn't think it was coming back, but it was still there. So probably about 20-25 minutes before it was up and showed me the purple screen. But it was working, and I said, okay, never mind, leave it alone. It's fine. Everything was working fine with Google Fiber. Everything was working fine with AT&T.
The only problem you had after that was that all your shows were in Chinese?
No. Now, here it is. I mean, here I think this is my machine only. I mean, I was sitting there this morning, and suddenly I see that EM client is not communicating with the server, with the mail server. What the hell? So I'm looking everywhere, and if I drop the feed, a lot of the SSH windows die and they go away. Everything was working, so I went to the other machine, which is working on AT&T. Oh, I couldn't even get to the website of Delta Force from my machine, but I could get everywhere else outside of Delta Force. I said, well, maybe there's a problem between us and between Google Fiber and Delta Force, the routing somewhere. And I came in here, and that machine that I'm using here is on it, and I went in, and everything is fine. So I switched my machine to AT&T to keep on working. And I guess at this point it's okay. I'll have to see when we're done. But it's the trials and tribulations. What? So
it's DNS.
It's always DNS. Where's Nick? Right?
What? What'd you say? Couldn't hear you.
Tell him, guys.
Yes. It's always DNS. Yes,
always DNS.
Yep.
That's why you couldn't hear it. It was DNS.
Car won't start, DNS. Wife's cheating on you, DNS. Doesn't matter. It's everything is DNS.
It's always DNS.
Inflation is based on DNS.
Yeah. How did Joe Biden win the presidency? Well,
DNS.
It wasn't accurate voting. It was DNS. Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry.
So it was.
But hold on a second here.
Yeah.
I need to jump in here, Emma,
Yes.
because I've been listening to this whole thing, and I feel like you might be scaring people.
Oh no,
You have a very abnormal, peculiar
Absolutely.
network setup.
Absolutely.
This has nothing to do, zero to do with what's going out outside. The connections were fantastic.
Correct. So I
This
think that's
whole
important to
ordeal
highlight.
this whole ordeal was
between
how to make
the chair and the keyboard.
For 99.9% of users, getting either AT&T or Google Fiber is as simple as having them put in their equipment, use their equipment, and you are good to go.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Just wanted
The
to say
moment
that.
you connected, everything worked.
Yep.
So definitely.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, this
Completely
is
right
not,
here.
This is not to scare anybody. This is to show you how mistakes are made, even though you don't think that you're making a mistake, and you can screw up. So, but you should, if you use your own router, you should back it up. Now, one of the routers.
Well, in this case, though, if you're going to be switching to these services, I would actually recommend, unless you're doing something very specific on your hardware, to use their equipment.
If
Absolutely.
You can.
If you don't have a reason not to, I would use their equipment. I'd use AT&T's modem and router. I would use Google's if I didn't need to use my own equipment.
Right. Absolutely.
It's always better. I don't see a reason to use your own equipment in this case.
Right.
Especially the Google stuff, because their Google router is smart mesh. So you can very easily extend your
and it was great
Wi-Fi through your house very easily.
Yes. Well, you didn't have to do anything. They did it. And he configured it, and he said, now you can put it anywhere you want. You can unplug it and put it somewhere else.
Yeah.
And it was nice. It was really nice. But it is a very basic, it's a Wi-Fi, although it has a LAN port on it that you can extend to your network and use it as wired partly, just like a regular router. But the options are very, very limited. It's a basic router, nothing fancy, no port forwarding. It does have DHCP. You can enable and disable IPv6, but it didn't. I couldn't use it. I couldn't have used it. Now, in all honesty, the AT&T one did not have that port forwarding thing.
Yes, it does.
Well, I didn't find it, and we were looking at it, Ron and me, and he said, "Amnon, just let's fix this one, because it's the same one that I have, and we know how to." So he was right. It was very easy to go in, and for him to go in and set it up, and okay, it's working. No, it's not working. Yes, it's boy. I had about 200 pages from Nagios that tells me that your system is down, your system is up, your system is down.
Amnon, we set port forwarding on your AT&T router.
No,
when I was there.
No, that
for Plex.
Not on AT&T. That was
the AT&T router. Sorry.
No, it was not. That was the one that was Spectrum. We didn't touch the router. We looked at it, but I don't.
Come on, you don't have Spectrum anymore. You have two. You have the Google. In that you replaced it. With Asus.
It was the Asus was Spectrum, and I took it off of Spectrum, and I connected it to Google Fiber. That was the whole idea, that I will not have to configure it.
You're confusing the audience here. You have two connections now. You do not have Spectrum anymore. No. So let's not talk about Spectrum.
Right.
You have a Google Fiber
and
point of entry connected to an Asus router.
Right.
Right. And you have an AT&T.
When
modem
we
router.
Were
working together.
Yeah.
Right. You had an AT&T router.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it's a modem router.
I set, and together with you, we set port forwarding for both Plex on both of them, on the AT&T router and on the Asus router.
Okay, I don't remember. I don't remember doing anything on the AT&T, but maybe you did when I was looking on my machine.
No, you remember it was that NAT gaming thing that you need
Yes.
to go and enter
Okay.
the custom, and then you go, yeah.
Yes, you're right. Okay. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I know what it didn't have VPN.
Correct.
That it doesn't have.
Yeah.
So, is that the first time you've ever used the AT&T router,
No,
Go? Oh,
it's
okay.
not the first time, but it's a really ugly interface. Like
It's an ugly
really
interface,
unintuitive. Yeah.
but it does a majority of what most people
Yeah.
would need it to
Yeah.
do, which would be port
It
forwarding. Is about
has-
the only thing you would need to do.
It
on
has
a
port
network.
forwarding, and it also has what's it called? DMZ.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does do
So-
DMZs. Yep.
Yeah. So the moment you have DMZ, you can still keep it there, and you're not double natting, right? So
Okay, and here I get a thing that tells me that my web server is down, but I'm sure it's just because.
It's not. So,
Yeah.
the web server is down.
Mail
you know
server,
that series,
mail
that
server.
web video series.
It's fine. I mean, I'll figure out what's going on. I guess I need to reboot my machine after all this playing back and forth. Who knows what happened to it? It happened before. That it
yeah, but
did
your
that.
PC is not the one notifying you. Nagios is, right?
Yeah, but Nagios. That's right. Yeah, that's Nagios is running on another server. Yeah.
There you go.
Well, we'll see. We'll find out. At this point, I'm okay. That's the first one I get. That's weird. This started about 8:00. Anyway, Spence, you ready for specials?
I am ready.
With that note, I'm gonna bow out.
Where you going?
I've
Oh.
got to go cut the lawn
Okay. All right.
for something going on later. So
You just, Nick, if you wait long enough, somebody will come and cut it for you.
I
No, they won't.
don't think that's true.
I'm telling you, that's the new rule.
Yeah. Uh huh.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't trust you, Spence. I feel
The
like
only
you're
way
giving
to
me bad
test it
information.
is to wait.
True.
When
All
it's
right.
like 6 feet high and you can't see the front door anymore.
Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next time.
too.
You too. See ya.
Toodaloo. Bye.
Have a good one. All right, Spence.
Okay. So
There
it's
you go.
interesting how today's show we started talking about TPM and encryption and all that stuff because I just was looking for some funny memes this morning and I found a couple that were related to security, which is interesting. Must have been It must have been a psychic connection, don't you think? Because I hadn't read anything about Windows 11 yet. I kind of disconnected myself from a lot of tech stories the last few days. But hey, inconvenience equals security, correct?
Yep.
The more inconvenient it is, the more secure it is. It's like, what did Gibson say? Security by obscurity.
Yeah.
Just make it really hard to find, and then you don't have to worry
Mhm.
about it.
Don't call your mail server mail server.
That's
Call it
right. Call it
Proto.
Niagara Falls trip, and then nobody will go looking for your secret files there, right? Oh well. So the data encryption my cloud provider uses is so good I can't even access my data. Now that's really good security, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let
Nobody
me.
can access it.
I sorry to butt in. My wife got back from Israel this week, yesterday, and before we left, she hid the keys to the jewelry box. We have yet to find
Oh,
them.
jeez.
It's so typical. I've done that where I said I'm going to put
Yeah.
this somewhere I'll remember it.
I told her, leave it, let it release it. Let's not stress about it. We'll figure it out in a couple of days.
Yeah, you know what they
If
say.
not,
If you
we'll
lose,
break it. We'll break open the lock. It's not.
Yeah.
I told her that's the one thing you don't need to hide. But yeah,
yeah,
My
you know what they say. They said if you lose your keys, that's okay. You'll find them. If you find them and you don't know what it's for, now you have a problem.
oh,
That's a good, yeah. When my mother had to go into assisted living, we were going through her stuff and we found jewelry that she claimed was stolen, was hidden in between the towels in her bathroom. So,
Mm.
oh well. And finally, Data security. In this corner, we have firewalls, encryption, antivirus software, etc. And in this corner, we have human error, Dave. Who's going to win on this one, right? Okay. So today, I just decided I really had a hard time getting started this morning, even though I was up at 6:15, just to go into some light technology here, talk about Wi-Fi 5, Wi-Fi 6. I know you reminded me of that when I talked to you the other day, Amnon, wanting to get a Wi-Fi 6 a mesh system. And the prices are pretty good for a entry point for 6. So we're going to talk about a couple of those, and then we'll talk about some of the AX, the Wi-Fi 5 stuff that's out there that's really cheap now that you can put in. It's perfectly adequate. And then we'll talk about some of the adapters you can get to adapt to AX for your machine. So what do you get with Wi-Fi 6 mesh systems? Everything between Wi-Fi 5 and Wi-Fi 6 mesh is pretty similar. It's just that Wi-Fi 6 does a better job. Spatial management of bandwidth, width of the bandwidth, how much you can put in and get through the system throughputs are better. Handling interference is better, but you're still going to get a lot of the same benefits as far as automatic channel selection, how to filter out noise, things like that. MIMO, especially multiple in and multiple out technology in both of these standards really has helped because it means that you can have more than one stream come in and be broken up and reassembled on the other side of the Wi-Fi, which is actually very handy depending on what you're doing. Most people really don't need this, but if you're a heavy-duty, high-res video streamer or you have some other things going on, it's all valuable. What really, really is the great part of this is the seamless roaming whole house coverage. You can walk around the house. You can set up Wi-Fi routers, and I have my TP-Link set up with the same SSID. So I have seamless handoff between the two. You have to turn on a function in one of them to get this to work. But it works good. I don't have to worry about it. Signal strength determines which one I connect to automatically. I never see a change. So same thing is true with the mesh systems. Seamless roaming, really good. Easy setup. I've set up the Google one and I've set up a Amazon one, and they're very, very easy to set up. High throughput. What you will need in order for AX to work with your client, you will need an 802.11 KVR branded adapter. So we'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay.
We got TP-Link Deco Wi-Fi 6 mesh up to 5,800 square feet. Does the job of an extender, does the job of a router. Extenders are nice because you can have one of these remotes out in the house and you can plug an Ethernet cable into it and acts as a bridge.
Wait, did
So
I
you can
lose
drop
you?
off Ethernet.
Oh,
Huh?
there it is. Yeah, never mind.
What?
Go ahead.
Oh, so you got the link to that one. Then Amazon Eero, they have their Wi-Fi 6 dual band mesh system. So I'm sorry, the TP-Link is $249, and we've got the Amazon 6 with built-in Zigbee hub, which is nice, $279, and then we've got the Netgear Nighthawk Advanced Whole House Mesh 6 system. Free armor security. Don't know what that means, but
I did lose you. What are you talking about now?
what wireless mesh?
Which
We're still
one?
at the first page.
Wi-Fi 6 AX. Talking
The one
about
on
the
the
AX.
left.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's three devices here, and I have them staggered.
Okay. I got
TP-Link.
you. All right.
Yeah, TP-Link. You look at they're joined to their little description right below them, the pictures.
Okay.
So now, personally, I like to have components that are not white, so I would go with the Netgear simply for that reason. Right, Amnon? Because it doesn't stand out as much. I want it to come in colors. So
Well, if you put it around the house, white might work better than black.
that's true because it has less electrons
Yeah.
to block. Yeah. The
But you
color.
can always use.
No, not only that. It's less obvious if you have something white sitting on some counter,
You're
right, than a black one.
no, I'm only saying that just to be funny.
And you can use the
This
aluminum.
looks like a
foil.
waffle maker.
You can use
the
aluminum
Netgear one.
foil behind it.
Or the plastic soda bottles with the
Yeah.
wrap the coil of wire around it. put it on the
By the
antenna.
way, one of the reasons they're making them white, right, is because the worst thing you can do about a Wi-Fi router is hide it behind stuff, right? And so they want it to be in plain sight. So it's not supposed to be an eyesore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah.
So they need to make it clear. Either
Then
that or
it's
use the
really
new,
going to
the
be
current,
ugly.
the new active masking technology they have now, where they have an LED screen that you put
Yeah,
in
I
front
heard
of
about
something, and they should have a camera on what it should be on the other side of it, and it makes the stuff disappear. Kind of cool.
Cloaking device.
Yes, cloaking device. That's the word I was looking for. All right. So next slide, we have bargain Wi-Fi 5 AC mesh systems, and we have the Netgear Orbi mesh system up to 4,500 square feet. It's a 3-unit, one router, 2 satellites, 114. And I don't remember what version of AC that is. It's probably 1200, which is the commonly which most of them were. TP-Link Deco, this is their last generation 5. So the Netgear is 114. TP-Link is 129. These are all 3-unit systems, one base, 2 mesh, 2 hubs, 2 satellites. And then there's another one here I've never heard of before, Mesh Force. But I read through the description. I like the fact that it says 6,000 square foot coverage. I don't know whether that's
They
true
can
or
say
not.
that.
They can say it'll be 1,000,000 square feet.
Yeah.
You know, and that's 171. So the prices are definitely under $200 now for a AC system.
The only problem here is that you have to replace your router. You have to use their router.
Not necessarily.
Well,
Depends on what you're doing in the house. If your current router has a AP, either has an AP switch that you can turn that on, or you can. I guess you don't really want to do double NAT if you can help.
no, you see, that's the thing is that the whole thing with my network now is I have Wi-Fi, but the 3 days that we had that mesh from Google, Kathy got spoiled. So I'm saying, okay, so I need to find a mesh that will work with.
Now, what I did not do, and I didn't have time to do this, was sit down and read through each of the manufacturer's documentation to find out if they did have an AP mode.
Well,
So it's possible that they do. But when I installed
Yeah.
the Google one, and it was the earlier generation,
I think they all have.
AP mode.
Yeah, I think they'll have
That
the
would be
Google one. You know what, Unknown? There's a good
There-
possibility that the Google ones also have.
That's correct, because they told me that it had the first person I talked with about a week ago, like the next day, said the only way to do this, if you want to use your own router, is to configure our router as an AP.
Okay, so
But they
that's-
told me I can't keep them. That they
So I'm thinking you can still keep them. Look, I use my own router on my Google Fiber connection.
Yeah.
Right. But it's not marked on Google's side that I'm using my own router. The
Oh.
difference is, right, is my end router, and that's what I don't know about the Asus. Maybe the Asus can do it, but as long as my endpoint router can connect.
wait. You know what, Gal? Let's talk
Yeah.
about it after the specials, because then now we are.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
You-
let's
you're
talk
totally
about
right.
it
Yeah.
afterwards, because that's
Yep,
interesting.
sorry about that. Yeah.
Okay, Spence.
So now we're going to talk about adapters. What can you do to bring your current equipment up to the AC or AX spec?
Mhm.
And the first two here are actually Wi-Fi 6, and I don't know; these are not household names here, but they are advertising themselves as being AX 3000 or AX. I don't know what AX 200 is. I think that's a mistake. But they're 802.11 AX. The first one's a Wavelink, and it's a PCI Wi-Fi adapter card with Bluetooth 5 for a desktop PC, and it's $42, and it's got what looks like a decent antenna, so you'll get good coverage. Good. I mean, that's a good price. And the other one's an OKN Wi-Fi 6. Now, this is specifically for a laptop because it's got the wireless module and plus Bluetooth 5, and that's only $24. So now that doesn't mean that the antenna system that you have in the laptop is necessarily going to support. If it's an older laptop and only has 2.4,
it will support, but it will not be efficient.
It won't be efficient. But the newer laptops are dual band, so they will have the antenna system necessary to support the two frequencies. So you'll be okay. So that's $24. That's actually reasonable.
Yeah.
And then we get into the AC stuff. There's several USB options here. We got a TP-Link AC 1900 adapter dual band for $49. Got another TP-Link for $24. And then finally, just a cheapo USB Wi-Fi Bluetooth adapter. So it's a slow AC. It's 600 meg. It's not the fastest one, but it is dual band. So you can use the 5 gigahertz band. Most people don't use it in the house, I find, because they're really not really aware of it. But I have my phone set up to run on 5 when it's in the house, and it's a big difference. I can get almost 200 meg down to my phone using 5, which is great. But this is a mini Wi-Fi dongle, which is nice. It's got the Bluetooth adapter built in too. $16. Can't say how good it is. And then looking at network attached storage. What's out there now? I have the little symbols on the right side of the screen there, shows a Wi-Fi router and disk. The cheapest way, simplest way to set up network attached storage, it may not be real fast, would be to utilize one of the USB ports that come on many Wi-Fi routers now. Right. And to put this up on the network. And it's usually a Samba, or it could be FTP is supported. So find out Windows networking, how is it supported? And I've got at least 2 of these in the house running now, one off of each of my Wi-Fi routers with storage, USB hard drives, USB 3.0 hard drives on them. And that's how I do my network backup. My Western Digital Cloud drive died, and I just was not interested in replacing the drive and going with that again because it wasn't all that fast. The newer ones are faster, but it worked good for years. I used it as my main online backup system, but now I've got the poor man system. But if you want to have a purpose-built NAS in your house, $99 for a Zyxel personal cloud storage 2-bay with remote access and media stream. It does not come with the drives. You have to supply the drives. And you do probably want to get a NAS drive, which is one that's the duty cycle, the mean time to failure is higher. Usually they run at lower speeds. You can get high speed NAS drives, I would guess, but they're going to be expensive. But you want something that's going to be reliable. It's going to run all the time. So kind of like a surveillance drive is too, although the surveillance drives are not real fast. But they're good for good duty cycle. Next,
what did you say? What did you say, God?
What type of OS that does Zyxel run?
I think it's Linux based.
It's their own. It's not like
I think it's probably Linux, but it's their private. They build it
embedded. Yeah,
embedded. Yeah. But it does. It's Zyxel's been around a long time. I mean, they were an OEM supplier for a lot of the early home stuff like Netgear. They built it, and then they started building their own brand. I remember that one of the first Wi-Fi routers I bought was a Zyxel. Very good stuff. If you got Western Digital 4 terabyte MyCloud personal cloud, $179. Prices are coming down on this stuff now. It used to be this was $275, $300. So that's a pretty good deal. Easy to use, easy to set up. It comes with the Western Digital software, so you can set up automated. Very simple to use. If you're not familiar with networking and all that, it's a pretty easy product to set up. And then we've got Buffalo Link Station, 4 terabyte home office cloud storage, hard drives included for $164. That's a good price for a 4 terabyte network drive. Amnon, do you remember the Netgear network drives that I was getting at one time that had the 20 meg drive in it? Did I get you one of those?
No, I don't remember that.
It was oh my gosh, it was so incredibly slow. But it was the only thing you had at the time. It was easy to get. It was expensive. It was like $150, $175. But that was my first foray into network attached storage, was using the 20, no, it's probably not 20 meg. Maybe it was 20 meg. Small drive. Buffalo Link Station, 4 terabyte for 164. And then if you want to build out a much larger system with some RAID and all this, Buffalo Link Station, Soho 722 bay, a 16 terabyte home office private cloud storage with hard drives is $599. It's expensive. But hey, you want reliability? Buffalo makes some nice products. And finally,
Well, 16 terabytes for $600 with a NAS. That's not too expensive.
no, I didn't say it was. It's shocking to see that price, but it's not, like you said. If you're familiar with what it would cost and the quality of Buffalo, it's good stuff.
Exactly. A two bay. I'm thinking to get right just an 8 terabyte drive, you're gonna pay $150,
Yes.
right? And that's for the basic. I don't know if they're putting NAS drives or not. So $150, right? So 300 out of it is
The
is
NAS.
only the drives, and you get the casing and all that. It's not
It's
a
not
bad
too bad.
deal.
Yeah.
It's not an awesome deal, but it's not a bad deal.
No.
Yeah.
And there's lots of off-brand stuff out there too. A lot of really
Yeah.
weird, wacky stuff you could play. If you're
Yeah, and
if
with
you're
Buffalo,
if you're a
you
dabbler,
know
you
you're
might be
getting
able to
something
find
good,
something that
yeah.
works great.
Yeah.
So finally, just looking at some USB stuff that's out there. The price now, look at this. So USB-C hub, right? 9-in-1, Ethernet port, 4K USB-C to HDMI, USB 3, USB 2, SPDIF, card reader, $38. I got one of these similar to this from my aunt with her new machine, and it works great. Single plug, single cable, plug it in. In most cases, the USB-C will charge the device if it's a laptop. You have to look at that. You got to make sure it supports that if you want that. $38. And I have a version of this. It's a switched USB hub where you can enable each port individually. I don't have one that has this many ports, 10 ports, but I have one that's a non-powered. That's just easy to turn utility devices on and off with the push button, and that's $37. This next one, I've never seen this before. This is very cool.
Yeah.
You think about it. You want to have a hub and you don't know where to put it on your desk, or you want a secure location where it's not going to slide on the floor or something like that. This has a clamp built in, so you can clamp it to stuff. What a great idea.
Yeah,
And it just is something, I'd never seen this before. This is
this is great.
a 4-port hub. So $16 with an aluminum USB 3.
Yeah, and the image shows that it's clamped to a screen or the table. This is
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. That's such a great idea to unclutter stuff. So yeah, I really like this. This is a nice product. I might actually get one of these and play around with it. You can't have enough USB 3 stuff.
So the docking station, that's an interesting one. I have a similar one for 2 screens.
You mean this one?
And yeah.
The docking
Yeah.
station.
This
Yeah,
is a single
so-
screen though.
Yeah, this is a single, and so there's similar ones also off-brand, nothing really known. And took to my work Lenovo, and it worked surprisingly good. 4K, 30 hertz. I think it actually supports 60 hertz. So I hook it up to the 4K TV, and I get like a huge screen for the laptop. So yeah, good experience with these.
Had an interesting customer call this week. Customer with a Lenovo laptop that had they call it a hybrid C power. They don't even call it a docking station anymore. I don't know why. It's not called a
Yeah.
dock. It's not called a port replicator,
because
but
you,
essentially
because you
what it
plug
does. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a USB-C hybrid, they call it, where you plug the power supply into this base station.
Right.
You plug it into the laptop, and all your services go through USB-C: power, networking, everything. Right.
Right.
Well, everything except for the network has stopped working on the dock. Can't explain it. And he actually ordered another one, and I told him, but it was under warranty because it's only 6 months old. But he ordered another one, still doesn't work. So he wants me to come by and take a look at it.
So one thing I can say, and that might be it, mine has 2 USB-C ports. One for
Yes.
power, and the other for outgoing.
I had him check it.
So
I looked.
make sure
I said,
you're
"Look,
on the right one.
pick the one that's got the computer icon on it." On the
Actually,
and
no,
make-
it needs to be the one that. No, you're talking about on the computer itself.
No, there's one on the USB-C hybrid box that shows a computer. That's the one you need to plug into the laptop.
I'm not
USB
sure.
cable.
Well, mine has a power like a lightning.
That's the power. What I remember reading the documentation from Lenovo, and it said make sure you plug it into the one that's got the icon of the computer. So that's what I had him check, and he said it's the same as it was before. He didn't change anything; it just stopped working. He hadn't disconnected
weird.
anything. So-
Maybe something happened on the machine.
I'm
yeah.
thinking it's drivers. Something changed. Windows Update didn't have the driver for this in it, and so I hope it's that simple. So I'll probably be heading over
The
there
thing
this
is
week
that
sometime.
the driver is for the chipset. It has nothing to do with the docking station. It's
Well,
not
I'm
like
wondering-
old docking station, USB docking station, where you needed a driver for it.
Who knows?
So-
Well, I'll see when I get there. I don't know why even the new one wouldn't work. So, but I have to go
Yeah.
and check. Now, I did have him check that he was plugged into the power input port on the laptop, which is USB-C. So he said that it was. But it just suddenly stopped working. So now he has to plug in all his peripheral devices to the laptop directly. So we'll see.
All right.
I'll report back what it turned out to be, if I can in fact fix it.
Okay,
So-
now talking about NAS, there's some disturbing news.
Uh-oh.
Ars Technica is reporting that some owners of Western Digital's MyBook network connected disk drives are experiencing data loss on their devices.
That's not good.
This is yet unverified problem, appears to be an externally initiated factory reset, resulting in a loss of all existing data.
Holy crap.
At this early stage, Western Digital is warning users that they should disconnect their devices from the internet to protect their data.
Wow.
This is, now remember, this is for MyBook network connection connected disk, not, it's a NAS disk. Apparently they have a MyBook NAS and MyBook, the thing, the little.
Well, the
portable
My
thing.
Cloud is essentially the same thing. It allows remote access.
Well, they're talking about Western Digital's MyBook network connected disk. MyBook, not.
That must be a new. I've never heard of that. So apparently it's something new. Let me look it up here.
Yeah, look it up because it's something that I found, and then Sarid was here yesterday, and he mentioned it to me also. So yeah, this is disturbing.
Very.
Wake up and everything is gone. And the fact that Western Digital is advising this, I mean,
Yeah.
of course, you can also just power it down, but then, hey,
Their branding is insane. MyBook World, MyBook Live, MyBook. It's like, which one are we talking about?
so they're talking about MyBook network connected disk.
I just searched on that. I can't find it.
Okay. Is there a MyBook NAS?
Let's see.
Any
That-
MyBook, I think. Any MyBook that is connected to the network. Their
To the router.
MyBook can be just a USB one, and a MyBook can come with a
Okay. So yeah.
I see the story. MyBook NAS. Well, it shows just a regular MyBook,
Okay.
but apparently NAS device. So I'm going to read about how it's set up. Let's see what I can find here.
Okay. Another thing that is I don't know. It is disturbing. It's also kind of surprising. Antivirus creator John McAfee, 75 years old, was found
Yeah.
dead in his prison cell in Barcelona after the Spanish High Court had authorized his extradition to the U.S.
And he said, "Don't believe it if I commit. Don't believe if I commit suicide. It wasn't me."
Well,
Ah.
everything points it could be a death by suicide. The Department of Justice said over there. The High Court had agreed to extradite him back to the U.S., where he faces tax evasion charges.
So the device is called the MyBook Live. It is a NAS connected, but
So
it's
it's
called
not
the
the
MyBook
reg-
Live.
So it's
Yeah.
not the regular MyBook.
No, it's not the cloud drive, which is confusing unless
Okay.
they have a different software. Maybe this is an updated version of it, but it's called MyBook Live.
Okay.
Been around for a while. It's not brand new.
Yeah.
Not good.
No, it's not good. Absolutely not good.
Yeah, mine failed. It was the drive croaked.
Well, that's different. Here you
Yeah.
get
No,
up.
I
and-
realized my drive just died, and it was flaky for a while, and then it finally just gave it up. I tried to, I ran, took it out and put it into one of my PCs and ran, recovery software against it, and it just didn't do anything. It couldn't physically attach to the drive.
Well, look in the chat. Pablo is saying I have been running Windows 11 for about 2 weeks on an older HP.
And this is where you start to wonder about, we should never wonder about Microsoft, but you start to think about, well, who knows really what's happening? And is this what we're hearing coming out from the marketing department when the actual beta stuff, trial stuff that's out there doesn't require it? Is this something they'd like to do? Or is it necessary? Or are they going to back away from it when they get pushback?
Well-
So, because I have no need to run, I don't run BitLocker on my machine here, and I'm not going to. I don't have anything on there. I would consider running
Yeah,
it on
but-
my work machine, but not this one.
So I think you the point where they're using it is not only for BitLocker.
Oh, no, I understand.
You know what Windows Hello is? The Windows
Explain.
Hello is their branding for their authentication mechanism, basically.
Oh, this
If
is
you
the facial
go-
recognition stuff?
Has facial recognition,
okay,
has
yes, I-
fingerprint, has
Yes.
one of the things they're pushing, if you noticed, if you want some sort of biometric recognition, like face recognition or fingerprint, you still need to set up something called a PIN.
Yes.
Now, the PIN is not necessarily a number, it can be a complete password. But what it does, it encrypts the credentials, the actual credentials locally. And so when you use the PIN or your facial recognition or whatever, then it opens the locally encrypted credentials and then sends the actual credentials on to the service that requires the authentication. So all of that storage requires TPM
Yeah, makes sense.
in order for it to really be secure.
Yeah, so it's
or
really the
more secure.
encryption engine, because if you ran that encryption
Exactly.
on the CPU, you'd bog it down.
Right. It's the
Yeah.
same concept as these security keys.
Yep.
Like these, right, where you
Yeah.
plug them in, and right. So that's the concept. It's like these extra secure pieces of storage. They're
Amnon,
not
do you
completely
remember-
unhackable, but they are more resilient.
Amnon, do you remember Ubikey?
Yeah, that's what I showed you is the Ubikey.
No, I
Yeah.
don't. And for what?
It was we had them on the show and they gave us samples of it.
That's
that a
that's
Ubikey?
I don't remember that.
Is that the Ubikey brand? 'Cause they were one of the first companies to come
Gal,
out with.
you have to talk. You can't just show it.
Oh, you're right. Didn't switch. Hold on. 1, 2, 3. Oh, the Ubikey. It's not in focus because otherwise
Yeah.
the lights.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here you go.
Yeah, this is a long time ago. We were still on the radio when we had them on.
So these have evolved. They're like first of all the tie-in to technology. So the one I showed you was a USB one. I have a USB-C one, and the USB-C one you can use with mobile phones. Some of them are NFC tags. Others I have here. This is not a Ubikey one. I'm just playing with them because I'm trying to understand exactly how to use them on the long run. But this, when I hit the button here, when it's not connected to USB, then it's Bluetooth connecting. So you get the authentication via Bluetooth to something like a mobile phone or a computer. You don't even need to have it hooked up. It's interesting. I don't think it's mature enough for widespread use. It's more of an inconvenience at this point, as Spencer showed us in today's special. So, yeah.
If you'd like to save some serious money, my idea would be to use the Windows Howdy.
Howdy.
This is the Windows Howdy pad. You stick it on the computer, you write your password on it, and when you change it, you tear it off and you write it again. Very simple.
Just make sure you put a plastic separator so it won't show on the next tab. We need to up the inconvenience. It's not.
That's right. There's not enough inconvenience yet.
Yeah.
All right. So now I have a question to you guys and to the audience. So what did you get on Prime Day?
Nothing.
Yeah, same with me. I'm always ordering stuff, so I didn't get anything on Prime Day.
Yeah. I mean, looking at it, right?
Yeah.
The only thing is, I don't know, 2 days later, I ordered something and said, why didn't I order it on Prime Day? Because when you have the Amazon credit card, usually you get 5% cash back. On Prime Day, it was 6%.
Oh, wow.
That's the only thing. Yeah. Which is, I think, the first time they did that. So, but other than that, it's like, there was nothing of interest to me.
I mean, the actual prices took effect on Saturday, I think, or Friday even.
Yeah, there were a lot of deals, and there's a lot of deals every day on Amazon.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of catching the one you care about.
Yeah. I got Kathy a new iPad because she was using the old first generation.
But were the price drops on Apple devices?
On Friday it was the same price. They said this is the Prime. So I went ahead and I ordered it.
32 gig.
128.
120. Oh, good. Yeah. So that's the iPad
8th generation, the simplest one though.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the one I have. That's the one I have. The newest one I have.
Yeah, hers was 16 gig.
Yeah, mine was 32 at the time I paid, but I got it through B&H. I think it was it B&H or was it Best Buy? I don't remember. But I got it for $279.
This was $395. It was like the
That's good for that storage.
$100 for the extra storage, yeah. And I had a situation with that too that was, I need to mention that. So we got it, and I opened it, and she wants to have all her stuff. So it said, you go through the steps, and it says, okay, now bring the other one next to this one, and we'll copy. And I bring it over, and nothing is happening. And then I go read and said, no, this one, it has to have iOS 11 or newer.
You can still do it, but you got to use the cloud.
Yeah. So So I didn't know that. I mean, I don't use Apple, remember. So I said, no, start doing just downloading. And while she was doing it, I went and I looked at the old one, and I said, okay, now I guess I could back this one up, which it wasn't backed up, to the cloud, and then bring it from there. But it's a 16 gig and it's almost full. Free is 5 gig. So I went ahead and I paid $1 for 50 gigabytes of iCloud and backed it up, which didn't take but about 20 minutes. Very interesting. And at that point, it was there. I took the new one and I reset it to factory again and went through all the steps. And when it came up with those options, I said, restore from iCloud. And sure enough, it took even faster to restore the whole thing, and everything was there. Now, there was one solitaire game that she loves. It wouldn't run. You click on it, and it comes up and disappears.
I had the same thing because it's not supported on the newer iOS.
Yeah. So
I
it's
had
okay.
purchased a poker game from Apple. It was their own game.
Yeah.
I couldn't bring it forward on any of my new devices.
Interesting.
I paid for it.
And they would not do anything.
Nope. Discontinued.
Well,
I actually called them and complained.
She discovered that free solitaire pack or whatever. It had like 250 some different solitaires. And she found a few of them in there that she loved. And that's it. She doesn't care about the other one anymore. So, and it's nice. And I got a screen protector later on. And it's the first time that I put a screen protector that I did not have to fight it and
just
redo
if you put it on right, you just touch the middle and it just spreads it out.
And it just goes. And sure enough, it had some bubbles at the edges.
But they'll disappear.
They will not disappear. I tried to rub them off. They wouldn't. So I picked it up a little bit from the side, like they said, and let go. And sure enough, they just disappeared.
I had the first time I put it on mine, the first couple of hours, the screen looked funny. Like it was like, oh, this isn't going to work. It's got kind of a weird shine to it, and it eventually went away.
Yeah, I don't know. This was nice, and I mean, this one came with a frame, which I've never seen before. Then you put the frame on the iPad, and then you position the protector inside that frame.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I said, wow, what an idea. You don't have to make sure that it's straight. You just do it like that. Because I figured, what? You mean you have to leave it on? No, but then Let me
ask you this.
Yeah.
Screen protectors.
Yeah.
I am in the opinion that they are worthless. And I'll explain. So the reason let's talk about the reason we put screen protectors on, right? We want to prevent scratches and anything else. The screen protector itself won't do, right? If something drops on it, the screen will break. It's not like the protector will break instead.
Right.
So it's all for scratches. Now, both Apple, Samsung, they're all using Corning technology.
Gorilla Glass.
On this. What's that?
Gorilla Glass.
Yeah, Gorilla Glass or whatever. Yeah. They always have some branding to it. These glasses are so highly engineered, right? That they are like 1,000 times more resilient than the screen protector we're putting on. And so then we put on the screen protector, and those do get scratched because they are a $10, $20 piece of material, right? Why put them in the first place?
Mine actually is waterproof now. So I had just a simple case, and I didn't have a screen protector on this for the first year and a half that I owned it. And I wanted to get a different case because this one has a stand-up.
Fair enough. I'm okay with the case. I'm not talking about the case. I'm talking about
this came with it, and it's waterproof. So now if I drop water on it, it protects the front. which is why I don't.
Yeah, but what
like I said, I
happens-
wouldn't.
But what happens if it goes to the edges?
It's
if the
actually
water-
sealed.
Oh,
It's got a seal. It's got a tray.
okay.
Like if you look, there's a little trough in here. So if it's laying flat, the water will stay within there. It won't go over the
Okay.
edge. I mean, if I drop it in
Okay.
water, it's not waterproof.
Yeah.
But would it be waterproof even without the screen protector?
No,
Why not?
because of the way it works. It sits. It's a rubber jacket around a plastic frame. It reminds me of
You mean it has a raised edge?
OtterBox. Yeah, it's got a raised edge.
Wow.
Reminds me of an OtterBox case, in that it's got the inner hard case and the outer soft case. But what
But
I
the screen
really
protector isn't connected, or it's glued to the frame.
no, the frame is in two pieces. It's a two-piece frame, with back and a front, and you click it together, and then the rubber top.
Right. Yeah.
There's a rubber shield that goes around it that seals the edges, and then but the screen protector part of it, which is built into this band, is the one that sits right on top
Okay,
of the glass.
it's built to the external frame, to the top
Yes,
frame.
Yes,
Okay. that's
part of the
something.
frame.
Okay, that's something.
But I love the way. This is what I really bought it for. Was this turnable hand holder, and the fact that it's got a built-in like a kickstand too. So I think it was like $30, $40. It's great. I mean, it's the best case I've seen. I've had so many different cases with these over the years.
But I can see, now that I'm thinking about what Gal said, I can see his point.
Oh no, I agree.
Very
I
interesting.
agree with you.
I guess
Yeah,
old
so
habits
I-
are hard to break.
I stopped putting screen protectors on phones and stuff because it usually just deteriorates the experience of using that. Now, I'm willing to shell out $50 to $90 for brake insurance, right?
Yeah.
That I'll do, and if it breaks, they send me a new device, right? I switch over. I get 2 drops for such insurance. It seems to me a lot cheaper than buying, a screen protector, then removing it because it's scratched, and then putting another one and dealing with all of that, right? And usually the actual screen never gets scratched. So
Pam's got the screen protector. It was my daughter set her up with it originally. Bought a 2-pack, and after she had the phone for 6 months, the screen protector glass was cracked.
exactly,
And
especially
she
those
was
glass
cutting. She didn't
things.
realize
Those
she was
are-
cutting her fingers on it.
Wow.
And yeah, so
and
it
not
was like,
taking it off because it protects the
Oh, I
actual
pulled it off.
screen, and
Yeah, I put a
it
different one on
also
there.
it also feedbacks feeds in the fear that the screen will break because the protector break, but the
Yes.
protector
Yeah, it was
is
very
just
cheap.
this thin film of stupid glass. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, don't waste your money on that, people.
Just get some cling wrap and just wrap it around it. That's all.
Yeah.
Put it in a
Saran
Ziploc
wrap.
bag. When I sit in my hot tub and I want to listen to music or something, I have an old iPhone. I put it in a Ziploc bag, and
That's
it
a good
works.
one.
You can actually
Yeah.
touch the screen.
No,
It goes
that'll
through the
work.
Ziploc
Yeah.
bag.
And
Go out
if
there
you
and listen to
if you yeah
podcasts
if
or
you put
music.
enough air in the Ziploc bag, then it's also acoustically enhancing. So yeah,
You just let it sit on top of the water. It just floats around. I
Yeah.
haven't tested that.
Anyway, it's on it. But like I was saying, it was the first time that I did not have to. Okay.
Yeah.
And it was real nice and easy.
That's because
But
it's really
that's-
alien technology. All the stuff
Yeah.
about the UFOs being revealed. The new screen protectors are actually living things.
Oh.
Not
So
not
anyway,
intelligent,
so
but
I
living
don't
things.
see anybody in the chat saying anything about what they got on Prime Day. I mean, they were such.
We lost
knew it
everyone.
was- I knew it was happening, but there was no reason for me to.
Yeah.
There is a deal today I looked at on where was it here?
Why wasn't it on the specials?
No, because I just saw it. The
Oh.
bleeping computer.
Yeah.
Was it bleeping computer or maybe it was
What was it?
it was an iWatch, but it was like $70 off the Gen 6 iWatch. I have a smartwatch that I got. It was $35, and it does everything I want it to do. Not real well necessarily, but it has a sleep monitor. It actually does your blood pressure, and I'm trying to figure out how the hell it does it, because I've checked my blood pressure with the cuff, and it's within a couple of, within very close, and it checks your blood pressure. It does heart rate, it does blood oxygen, it does, it's a pedometer. It does show me the text message when I get a text message, or when I get a phone call, I can hit, answer with the phone, with the watch. It's not great. It might not last, but hey, for $40.
Yeah. Does it tell you the time?
It does tell me the time.
Sometimes.
Yeah, it tells me the time, and sometimes it depends on what time you want, right? So, but yeah, so far it's been good. And I figure if it lasts a year and I have to buy another one in a year, because now that I'm not doing repair work every day, I wear it. But if I was usually wear my $12 watches from Walmart when I work, because I tend to destroy them.
No. All right. Here is something else here. Microsoft has now confirmed signing a malicious driver being distributed within gaming environments. This driver, called NetFilter, is in fact a rootkit that was observed communicating with Chinese command and control IPs. G-Data malware analyst Karsten Hahn first took notice of this event last week and was joined by the wider InfoSec community in tracing and analyzing the malicious drivers bearing the seal of Microsoft. This incident has once again exposed threats to software supply chain security, except this time it stemmed from a weakness in Microsoft code signing process. So what are you saying?
I'm saying, whoa, this is huge.
Yeah. So can you imagine?
It's not that somebody managed to hack the signing process. It's somebody, or the signing mechanism, the technical mechanism, is they got through the approval process.
Yep.
It's the equivalent of a malicious app showing up in the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store.
Yep.
That's bad.
It is bad.
That is bad.
So it's called NetFilter. And they're saying that it's being distributed within gaming environments. That doesn't mean that that's the only place. I'm trying to
understand where. That's probably something that Nick will be more up to date on where these are used. I've never experienced that. So, but maybe when you want to modify the way the gaming,
I don't know,
your GPU works or something.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of customization that if the tools that come with the system board don't have what you want to do, there's lots of ways to go in and tweak.
Now here's another thing to worry about. Industry analysts believe that the global chip shortage is creating the perfect environment for counterfeit semiconductors to enter the market. With demand looking unlikely to calm down, analyst firm Gartner estimate that the semiconductor shortage will last well into 2022. And he warned equipment manufacturers that wafer orders could come with up to 12 months of lead time in the coming months.
Did you see the numbers related to new car deliveries?
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous.
It's crazy. I was at the Ford dealer locally for an event. They have a diner in the Ford dealer.
Mm-hmm.
And was an event there. And talking to the general manager of the dealership, he said, I usually have 1,000 vehicles. He says, I have 250.
Yeah. It says for some companies, this will mean finding an alternative way of stocking up on chips or shutting down production lines. In other words, the current times are opening up a golden opportunity for electronic component counterfeiters and fraudsters to step in. It's true. I mean, I don't know how manufacturers are going to buy something that may, I mean, if it's a counterfeit, they should be able to tell. But what goes into these counterfeit that's like in a sleeper mode to come to wake up in 2022, 2023 and destroy things? Who knows? So it's yeah. Problem. I mean, it's not only that kind of shortage. Sarid was telling me yesterday that one of the cars that was involved in an accident, they can't get parts for IKEA body parts. They can't get them. They told him it's about another 3 weeks before we get the parts in. You know, eesh.
Indeed.
Yeah. And you are part of a big group now. According to new research from Strategy Analytics, half the world's entire population now owns a smartphone in June 2021. Some 4 billion people use a smartphone today. It has taken 27 years to reach this historic milestone. Yep. Interesting. I don't know what it does to it.
Half of the population.
And if you have a Dell, security researchers have found 4 major security vulnerabilities in the BIOS Connect feature of Dell Support Assist, allowing attackers to remotely execute code within the BIOS of impacted devices. According to Dell's website, the Support Assist software is pre-installed on most Dell devices running Windows operating system, while BIOS Connect provides remote firmware updates and OS recovery features. The chain of flaws discovered by the company with CVSS-based score of 8.3 out of 10 and enables privileged remote attackers to impersonate Dell.com and take control of the target device's boot process to break OS-level security control. Such an attack would enable adversaries to control the device's boot process and subvert the operating system and higher layer security. So if you
At
have
the moment you can inject something into the BIOS.
Yeah. your host,
By the way, so TPM, right?
Yeah.
We were talking about TPM.
Right.
One of the things TPM addresses are situations like these.
Right.
There's something called secure boot.
Mhm.
Secure boot means that once an OS boot has been established, it is signed, and it is signed with the hardware signature. And one of the hardware signatures is the BIOS. It's not exactly BIOS anymore because it's UEFI, but
Yeah.
with the boot software. So if the boot software changes, right, then you will know about it. You will need to interact with it. It'll tell you, hey, something's wrong going on. So that's one of the things TPM is needed for. Because one of the things that a BIOS update like this can do, it can update the BIOS, but it cannot modify the TPM without being noticed. So it's like identifying somebody broke into your house by seeing the lock smashed.
Right. And it's too late. At this
Won't
point.
be it won't be as if somebody could enter and leave without you knowing. So that's why stuff like TPM is important.
And to go back to Windows 11, something else about it, it says that version of the desktop operating system 11 will require a Microsoft account and internet connection for setup. Based on Microsoft official requirements, you need an internet connection to install Windows 11. This means people without internet access at home, especially in rural and poor households, won't be able to use Windows 11. He said, I hope Microsoft fixes the problem before release. Previous version of Windows will let you opt out of the Microsoft account by creating a local account instead.
Yeah,
It's
remember we're
possible
talking
you
about
still.
about
What?
reviews of the beta. We're talking about reviews of the beta.
Yeah.
I'm guessing they wouldn't be allowed to
To do that.
ship it without the option of
Right.
offline setup. Yeah.
So we'll wait and see. I mean, The Verge is saying it makes sense since Windows 11 will largely be delivered via a Windows update. So you'd need an internet connection to install it on your PC. Yeah.
Well, at first, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the 21H one that we're using right now. It'll
Yeah.
be supplied that way, right? But even if you are connected, it doesn't mean you need to have a Microsoft account. So, right?
Right.
Are they forcing
I
you
mean,
to create one? Yeah.
And the truth is that even now, it's sort of like hard to get around it on some installations. And the only way to do it is to actually disconnect from the internet. And then
Yeah.
it will give you the option to create a local account. So who knows?
Right.
But yeah.
By the way,
All right.
for
Yeah.
our listeners, right? When you encounter something like this, don't get into a position where you say, "Hey, I'm not going to use it." If that's the case, just create a new account.
Oh,
Create a
yeah. I mean,
separate
it's no
account
big,
that isn't
it's
going
free.
to be linked to anything that you're actually doing, right? And use that, and then find a way of disconnecting it. Usually, it's only required when you have to connect, right? That's what I do with Google. Google used to be my one account for everything, for YouTube, for this, for that. Yes, it's a lot more convenient where you have it, but if you are concerned about how they collect information about you, just use separate accounts for that.
Mhm.
It requires some know-how. It requires some attention to details, right? Using something like container tabs and stuff like that, where you can separate things, but just use multiple accounts,
Mhm.
right? And then each account, yes, it's profiled, but it's still only for that activity and not for other activities. So
Makes sense. Yeah.
just be aware. Don't shut off the world just because they are trying to get your data, right? Don't give away the convenience that you can get from using these free services, but be aware. That's all.
Yep. All right. It's this time again. Anybody has anything else to add? Spence?
2 + 2 = 4.
Well, you had good. You
You
passed.
wanted something to add. I gave you
You
something to
passed.
add.
All right.
Wait, no, 2 + 2 = 5. I'm sorry. I wasn't using the correct
That's the new math.
math.
That's the new math.
1 - 2 = 21.
All right. So it was fun. It was good. Thanks, Gal. Thanks, Spence. And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie and Donna, Dina, Arlet, and Micha, Eleanor, Sarid. Thanks, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing. Back up your hard drive and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. And remember, Nick does his show Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. You can listen to it on your Echo device or on the internet, or if you're in Wilmington, on WAAV Wilmington 980 The Wave. And Tuesday evening, Nick does the Infection Podcast with Brian on Twitch. 7 p.m. Infection Podcast for gaming on Twitch. See you later, everybody.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.